Welcome back, my beautiful people, to the Onslaught Gaming 40K platform. And this is Ops. All right. And today we have something very special. But before we get started, as always, give us a war cry. Huh! This is in preparation of everything that goes on, right? I have a very militant type of show. So I always give kudos and love to that and respect of that. But before we get started, special thanks to our audience, the Ops family. Thanks to everyone who has subscribed. If you haven't already done so, please make sure to share, subscribe, and thumbs up as always. All right. Your support means the world to us and keeps us going strong. Thank you very much. Much love. Special hug to our sponsors, Big Bear 3D, Battleboard Studios, and Baron of Dice. Thank you so much for everybody helping out and sponsoring the show. We have some affiliation links that we're going to put out here shortly, and we'll get you some discounts. All right. Special thanks to our family sponsor, Art of War. Make sure to go check them out on YouTube for exciting content. Their strategies and insights are invaluable to anyone looking to up their game. All right. Don't forget, check out the new Operation Episode 6 coming soon. I'm going to ATCs, hopefully. So I'm going to be bringing orgs. We're going to talk about that in another episode. So hopefully you stay tuned for that as well. But today we have something very valuable in the Eldar realm. All right. So make sure to pay attention. Get excited for all these previews, these insights we're going to break down today. Make sure to check out the description section. I did a paste bin of Mr. Elfie's list on there for Aeldari, and we're going to break that down here right now. So how are you doing, Elfie? How's everything with you, brother?
Doing great, man. Thanks. Just working out all the little new details since the changes came out, and I think I have something that's working pretty well right now. We're going to find out. We got a few more smaller events to do before Onslaught 8 and before Crucible, so I'm trying to get them polished in for that.
Absolutely. You've been doing fantastic. I know how hard you've been working with your Aeldari, everything that you've done. Obviously, people are going to see in the title that your name is Elfy, right? So there can't be any other army that you're playing, obviously.
No, just only one right now.
I mean, unless you're playing fantasy, but we're not talking about fantasy today. No. Talking about Warhammer 40K, baby. So to get us prepared and started for everything that's going on today. So a little bit of an introduction about yourself, Elfie. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started with Warhammer 40K and when did you start playing?
I started collecting models probably back in the early 2000s, but it was never really went anywhere. When I moved to Florida in around 09, 010, I started in, I think, 4th or 5th edition. I had Eldar, Necrons, Chaos Space Marines, but I always tend to come back to Eldar. I got out of the game around 5th edition, sold everything off, wasn't going to play again. And then something brought me back in. My buddy Mike, he had a league at one of the local shops and started collecting Necrons and Eldar. And then I was playing both, jumped back and forth at the shop. But I think it was 22 when I went to my first event at Coliseum Comics in Kissimmee. And I ran into TLM there and, got recruited by them. And I decided at that point, if I was going to do competitive, I just wanted to focus on one army. So got rid of all my crons and just been collecting nothing but Eldar since then. Just want to have every unit. So no matter what changes, I can always just plug and play to match the changes necessary.
Absolutely. And shout out to TLM. So for those of you who don't know, TLM is a club in Central Florida. They have a gaming hub they go to. It's called Layton Gaming. Currently, I don't know if they had that back then, but rather, regardless, right? Great group of individuals, amazing store. I know they have a GT coming up, and as Elfie stated, I have Grand Onslaught 8 that he's going to be participating at, and also I run and head judge the Crucible on September 6th through the 8th, so make sure to go check that out on Best Coast Pairings, everyone. All right. But yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. Also, we want to run into, and you kind of, gave us a little bit of an idea and most people are already going to know, right? Once again, with your name. But what is your favorite army? But before we get into your favorite army, what's your day one army? And then let us know what's your favorite army and why you love your favorite army. What makes it so amazing to you and it keeps on making you just go back to that?
My day one army was Necrons. I enjoyed the lore of the Necrons, but I enjoy the play style of Eldar a lot more versatile for the way I play, mobile. Shadow games, jumping in and out, shooting and then hiding again, just forcing them to, expose themselves to, to cause harm. So I like that play style a little bit more than the, slow and lumbering, durable ones. Just something I enjoy a little bit more.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I know how it feels to have something that you started with, but that you love now. And I'm representing my big love now, which is kin to what you play, right?
That's right.
A little bit more specific, not as broad as Aeldari. But I love me some Harlequins. So I am so happy that you're here today. But before we continue on, I want to go ahead and play one commercial. We got to pay the bills real quick before we get on into the strategies. And before we get into the strategies, we're going to do this and show you how to get a discount on some Battle Board Studios. Make sure to check out the descriptions to see your way and how to get $50 off your next purchase.
Turn this into an epic display. Hey everyone, I'm Lee the 40K Nomad, and this is my battle board in a box. The only display board you are ever going to need, and it will take care of all your armies. Let's open this thing up and show you how it works. And then choose from the steps or the flat wall section. All display boards come with both options. Want to use the same display for a second or third army? No problem. Change out the picture, change out the insert, add some different terrain, and you're good to go.
All right, thank you everyone, and we are back. So make sure to go check out Battle Board Studios online. Subscribe to Onslaught Gaming 40K, the platform, right? And check it out. $50 off your next purchase from any display they have, right? So they have small displays, larger displays, both carry-ons for you if you're taking any flights to any major events, things like that. Go ahead and check it out. So back to Mr. Elfy and his show. So recent event participation. How do you prepare for your events and what strategies do you use?
I built off the previous list I had. I do know that my list was a little bit vulnerable to volume of fire and just it was a little soft, a bunch of low toughness models. So I wanted to incorporate some new units. So I took a couple of the wraiths into this event. I practiced with them just by the wraiths themselves. Found out that they were a little lackluster, so I decided to test out the Spirit Seers with the wraiths, and it's been really good since then. It's been so much more powerful. The lethal hits on both range and close combat is really strong, and just the massive amounts of high damage they have both in close combat and range. And then the flamers is nice, as a last minute Overwatch or just taking out chaff.
Love it. So you have the Autark Way Leaper, the Death Jester, right? One of my favorites from the Harlequins. The Farseers, Spirit Seers, 3 of them, right? So how did you break down your tactics for them, and why did you take them in particular?
The Farseer was a last minute ad, like 8 p.m. the night before the event. I had I had 5 points floating left. I was at 1995, and I had 2 Vipers. I was going to try to use those tech pieces to take away cover saves with all my Bright Lances. And I was like, what? I could use a Farseer to protect the midfield. So idea is to use the Farseer to fortune the Wraithlord going to the middle of the field to give them a little more protection, since that's usually where everything kind of congregates to, is that midpoint. So it just gives them a little more durability while standing there, trying to hold that point. And then I let the other two just wander off by themselves.
Nice. I love it. So you had the Shroud Runners and the Sky Weavers, another Harlequin favorite as well. So what did you do, and why did you take these two unit pieces and tech into them?
I bring the Shroud Runners because they're a nice scout unit to jump up and jump on points. Also, if they have a lot of bodies, it's a bunch of shots into a unit. You got like 21 shots from 3 models into a unit at long range is really strong. And then the Sky Weavers, sometimes you don't want to deal with that 2+ armor save on a tank or a monolith or whatever. So being able to throw some devastating anti-vehicle 4+ into those targets to just deny saves it all is really powerful.
Love it, love it. And it looks like you took 2 units of those, 2 units of 2.
Yep.
You also took some Striking Scorpions, and looks like 2 units of Swooping Hawks. So why'd you decide on Striking Scorpions? I know a lot of people have been kind of frowning upon those units. I know Swooping Hawks are amazing, even though they got the nerf a little bit, right? But like your titled list is, right? Like it's titled, What Nerf?
Right. I really like the Striking Scorpions as a forward deployment unit. A lot of people like taking the Rangers. I just don't think they're as viable. The reaction move is 1 move. They can move 3 units up. You still only move 1, so you can get a 1 inch on the move. It's really not going to protect them. When they're getting that many shots into a unit, you put that far up, the stealth's not going to do anything. But I feel that the 3 armor save and being able to hide the Scorpions behind a wall, because they can just charge through and get into some infantry units, being able to force a ton of dev wounds through with close combat is really powerful, where the snipers are 5 shots at -1.
Right.
It's really not that powerful, and it's only a 10-point difference between the two. And the Rangers don't have their invuln in close combat, so if something charges them, they just melt like tissue paper. So I just feel that for the 10 points, the Striking Scorpions are so much more value. For a unit, you're basically going to use the same way. You're either going to block lanes for transports, you're either going to block scout moves, or you're just going to set them up to try to get a charge into something you want to get off the board.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. And for those of you who are following along, this is paste bin in the description section. And also, we're going to get into a particular unit. It's going to be on the 3rd page, and we're going to have a secret for you at the end. So you're going to have to make sure to watch the entire show to hear that secret. All right. So Swooping Hawks did pretty well for you. You talked about having the Vipers unit as well. And then you have 3 War Walkers. So what were your thoughts getting into the War Walkers and bringing those along with you?
War Walkers are just unreasonably resilient at range. A lot of people underestimate them. The T7 with a -1 to wound, throw a couple lances on them with the reroll to hit, reroll to wound, the Scout 9, the 3 armor, and the 4 invuln. It's just for 110 points. I don't know how you really top that. I usually set them up a little aggressively, and then if I don't get first turn, I duck them behind a wall. If I get first turn, I'm coming at you.
Nice strategy. And then the Warp Spiders, everyone's favorite, right? We all know what Warp Spiders do, but how do you use them? So we know why you took them, right? But how did you use them throughout this weekend, or why do you use them when you put them in your list? What is your thought process breaking that down for Warp Spiders?
I had 20 of them before this list, and I just felt with the points increase, I could get a lot more efficiency out of other units. I kept 1 unit in case I draw into a secondary where I need to get somewhere. They can do their 24-inch jump and still action because it's not an advance. It's just a normal move. And other times where they'd have a character there, I killed their bodyguard unit, and the character running around to jump them up and trying to dev the character to death, or put some wounds on him and then just park him beside him. And then as soon as he moves or charges, I fire again for Overwatch with flamers. It's really strong. I think that the 1 unit's still good enough to get the job done. I don't think you need to flood the board with 2-3 units like we used to, especially at 125 points for 5 models. It gets a little pricey, So I think the one's still a good tech piece. You can scare them with Overwatch, and the devs against everything on 6s. Still get the volume out of that as well.
They're amazing. They're amazing. Yeah, we know why you take them. They're amazing. I played against you before. They're one of the scariest units that Eldar has. Definitely one of the scariest units that you have in your list. So you also brought the Death Spinner, the 3 Wraithlords, right? So we'll talk more on that secret later about the Wraithlords. But on the Death Spinner and Wraithlords, what was your thought process? So now you're bringing Wraithlords. A lot of people are not actually bringing that. I actually like that you brought them into your list. Break it down a little bit, your tactics and your thought process and why.
For the Wraithlords, the plan was just to park them on an objective and just dare people to come take it from me. It's a T11 body with 10 wounds and a 2 armor save and a couple bright lances, a couple flamers, and the Ghost Glaive in close combat's pretty good too. It's not the best, but it's good enough when you're standing on an objective with a T11 body, and they have to either come take it from you or they have to let me score points. So those are your 2 options: allow me to score points, or make it a hard decision. And because they're such high toughness and a good save, it forces them to put a lot of effort to remove 1, yet alone 3 of them. So the idea is just to kind of force their hand, and then they're only, less than a quarter of my army, or right around a quarter of my army. So I still have the majority of my army flying around doing whatever it wants to do on top of that, and they're just kind of standing there just waiting.
Sorry, I was taking a swig of a drink. No, I am not sponsored by Canada Dry. But Canada Dry, if you ever want to sponsor me, let me know. I love your product. No, that's some great insight. And like we said, make sure to pay attention, follow to the end. Elfy is going to break down to you how he used a secret strategy with his Wraithlords. So recently you participated in a Warhammer 40K event at Intergalactic Plastics Summer 2024 RTT in Lakeland, Florida. Whew, that was a mouthful. Can you walk us through your strategy before the RTT? So before you get into the rounds, right? Did they have the missions, layouts, deployments, everything already displayed for you so you know exactly what you're walking into? And did you create your list tailored for that mission? I know I like to do things like that. I know a lot of competitive players like to do it that way as well. Some of the greatest generals in the army like to do that as well. If you know your enemy and you know your playing field, you're going to set it up for success, right? So do you go into the RTTs and GTs knowing that?
I actually don't. I go in and I look at each mission with a battle plan with each one, but I don't let the missions dictate what I bring. What I bring in my list is designed to do a certain task or to be able to counter a certain type of model. And I just felt with the changes to bring it down, we're just going to see a lot more high toughness vehicles, monsters. So I decided to just spam a bunch of bright lances and just send it downfield and see what happens. I have a bunch of fast units who can jump around, the Hawks and the jet bikes, the Autark if needed. And I got my, anvils, just park on a couple objectives, and I can move them around on the objective to deny line of sight, and just force them to get closer and closer until I can jump on them. But no, I don't really let the missions dictate what I bring. I bring what I do to pose certain counters and certain obstacles for my opponent versus the mission.
I like that. Very unique, very unique. But you do tech into the meta, it seems like. So anything that's being played out through the meta at that time, right? Like you mentioned, there's going to be more vehicles and monsters. So you want to make sure you bring the right tools to the battlefield, which is awesome. Love that breakdown. Love that breakdown. So can you give us a brief overview of each round at the Intergalactic Plastics Summer 2024 RTT? Starting off with round 1. Give us a little bit of a synopsis breakdown as far as you want to, right? If you could give us the faction and name, that would be lovely. and then we'll give him a shout out as well.
Sure. The first round I played Ryan with Leagues of Votan. I can't remember the mission we were playing, but I do know he was playing the Votan. He had a couple giant bricks of the Terminator Votan guys.
Of course,
they hit hard. They're hard to move. He kept them
Yep.
both. He kept both big bricks and deep strikes, so it kind of gave me less units to focus on the first turn until the second turn. And he also had two of his big tanks, and then one infiltrator unit, and then a bunch of bikes. And so the first turn, I went first, and I scouted my war walkers up, moved into place. I was able to put one of his land fortresses down to I think 1 or 2 wounds. I just couldn't pop it. He kept spiking his saves on that one. He gave it void armor, and so I used my Viper to take away the cover save, but there was just no stopping his saves. I just couldn't get there. I even charged it with the Wraithlord and still couldn't get there, And but by the turn 2, I'd killed both land fortresses. I'd positioned the Wraith on each of the primary objectives in the midfield at that point, and he'd dropped one of them by turn 3, the midfield one, because he had so many of his judgment tokens on him at that point that he got a bunch of rerolls to everything against him, and it was just hard to fend off that many shots. The Terminators were shooting into him, and he had all the tanks were shooting into him for a couple turns. But I did utilize the Wraith's ability to farm fate dice. I think in turn 2 I farmed 5 fate dice with the Wraiths.
Wow.
And I think that's a really, like, a lot of people like running the Guardians for the fate dice, but I mean, you get 5 max with that, where I got 5 in 1 turn, with the Wraith. So, but just all about split fire, and because each unit they kill, you get a fate dice. So I flamed 1 unit and killed it. I shot another of the lances, and I charged another unit. So the one Wraith got 3 fate dice just from those 3 units, and I just focus fired the Terminators down turn 3. I popped the Death Jester out, sent some sustained shots into it, and just forced dev saves and just saves in general. And eventually he dropped those. And once the Terminators fell, there wasn't a whole lot that he could do to stop me at that point. His tanks were gone, all his Terminator bricks were gone. He had a couple bikes floating around, but it was a little bit too far gone for him to come back at that point. So I just held all the points and just waited them out.
Nice. Yeah, we saw your score. For those who want to check it out, right, that was Intergalactic once again on Best Coast Pairings. I believe you scored 100 on this one as well.
Yeah, it was 100 to 40 against Ryan.
Yep. Shout out to Ryan, by the way. Shout out to Votan. I know Stumpies like to hate a lot. That's why they have judgment tokens. They have so much hate, right? But congratulations to you. You had a fantastic game. It looks like you strategized and positioned your army properly to come out victorious. So going into round 2. So obviously this was after lunch. You enjoyed yourself. You didn't get any itis whatsoever. Obviously you did amazing at this event. So going into round 2, same thing, right? What was your faction? If you remember the opponent, and kind of break it down exactly how it went out for you for your success.
The second round, I was playing Joe. He was playing Vanguard Dark Angels. The cover and the -1 to hit was a little annoying to deal with when you only have a couple guns. Only thing that saved me is my rerolls there near the beginning, but I got first turn on that one again. I kind of set up my war walkers aggressively, and he set his tanks out in the open. It was his biggest mistake. He didn't really hide them much at all, to be honest. So I got first turn. He pulled his 3 Phobos units back. I scouted my war walkers up as far as I could into his brick of like 4 tanks on the one side of the battlefield. So he had 4 tanks on the one side, Dreadnought on the other, with a couple other Marine units. And so I put the War Walker on and the Wraith on one side, and all my other tank busters on the other side with his giant collection he had. So once he realized I scouted up, I think he forgot I scouted. Even though I went over everything, but I think he forgot I scouted, so he wouldn't expect me to be within the 12 inches to avoid the -1 to hit. And
Right.
I picked up 2 of the gladiators before he took a turn. Or no, I picked up a land raider and a gladiator before he took a turn. I sacrificed my war walkers. I put them way up into the fray, and I toe tapped the objective with my wraith.
Yeah.
But I knew they were going to die. But they did their job. They didn't take the -1 to hit. They popped a couple tanks. My Viper took the cover away from the Land Raider so that I could focus it with my lances and not give it cover. And my Harlequin bikes took out the rest with the dev wounds. His first turn, he didn't score anything on secondary. He drew really bad secondaries for him. He charged into both my Wraiths on the one side. His Dreadnought failed to cause any damage to the Warwalker on the other side and failed to charge. Turn 2, I picked up the Dreadnought and the last 2 tanks, and he pretty much conceded at that point. He lost 4 tanks and a Dreadnought before he took a second turn, so wasn't a whole lot he could do. He had a couple guys left, but they weren't going to take down all my guys because I hadn't lost anything at that point. And so that game was like a 20-minute game, and then he conceded, and I waited around for about 2 hours for the next round to start.
Shout out to Joe and Dark Angels as well. So it looks like, obviously, you had a fantastic game. It went very sour for him. For those of you who are watching, right, sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes you invest too much with your army and you don't know exactly what you're going against. So make sure to, get all the information you can, even if you're practicing or if you've never practiced against that in particular army. I know Elfy detailed everything out, but just make sure to don't ever get discouraged in Warhammer 40K. This is what this is all about. It's just continue to play, right? So everyone who's ever been through that situation, we've all been in it as well. I know Elfie has been in it as well. Continue on, right? Your next games are just going to get a lot better, and you're going to end up winning a GT and RTT yourself. So thank you very much.
You want to make sure, you want to try to hide your vehicles. I know they're durable and everything, but you got to understand that all it takes is a couple really powerful shots to take them out. And, you never know if you're going to get that first turn. The only reason I put my Warwalkers out is because I know I have my 9-inch scout that I can hide them, if I don't get the first turn. So everything else I hide because, the last thing you want to do is lose resources. So that's the best advice I can give on that one. Is just make sure you hide them. If you want to put one out there and, gamble with it, that's fine. But you want to, try to hide the majority of your force to try to force your opponent to overextend to get to them versus just putting out, easy targets for them to barely have to move into to get target lines on. So
that's right. And that's tips for the opponents of the elves, right? The Aeldari. So if you're listening and you are an opposing faction of Aeldari and you're just trying to listen to this to learn how to combat them, right? Hear that out, right? Make sure that you understand that war walkers can scout, they have bright lances, and they will tag you really fast.
They move 19 inches first turn. They got the 9-inch scout and a 10-inch move, so you have to consider that. And then they got 36-inch range, so they can reach out and touch you.
Anything, right? Then they'll, it'll have to be one of those moments. Show me on the bear, right? Show me on the bear. So, congratulations to you. So, at this point in time, you are 2-0 at this RTT. Going into round 3. So, after your prolonged wait, you're probably biting your nails, already knowing that you're going to match up to somebody probably equally as good as you, right? So, going into round 3. What was your opponent? What was your opponent's faction? And how did you bring this all the way home?
Last round I played Riley. He was playing Splinter Drukari.
Okay.
Bunch of boats, bunch of little guys. He had 4, I think they're the Kronos, the monsters. He had 3
with the tentacles things.
Yeah.
They're
close to that ones. Yeah. And then he had I think it was 2 Archons, Lilith, 3 units of Scourge. I got first turn that one as well. And luckily he put his Scourge off the wall, because my Shroud Runners would have charged him first turn through the wall if he wouldn't have, because they also moved like 23 inches first turn on top of the 4 deploys. So I kind of, on that one, I kind of spread out a little bit, because I just counter deployed to him. I wanted to make sure I had a Wraith and a Warwalker on 3 different lines down the field. The idea was to try to take out all his transports as early as possible. I know that his guys get really strong out of transports. The last thing I want him to do is flying around with the Venoms, getting, sticky targets, sticky objectives everywhere, and being able to just deploy his guys real close to me, because I know that's what he wanted to do. Yep. I think I took out 3 or 4 boats the first turn. Maybe it was 2 or 3. Took them down. I think I took down 1 of the Chronos. And then it was a really powerful first turn. I was able to charge 1 of the Scourge units, lock them down so they couldn't do anything with the Shroud Runners. They went from my deployment to his deployment in the first turn. And I think I was able to take down the majority of the targets I wanted to. I wasn't as worried about the Chronos because they weren't shooting me as I was the Raiders and the Venoms and everything. And then turn 2, he had a pretty good turn 1 as well. He was able to put a lot of damage out. I think maybe he picked up 1 Warwalker. No, he didn't pick up a Warwalker. He picked up 1 of my Hawk units because I had to expose him a little bit. And then he picked up my Scorpion, so a little easier for him to pick up. The one thing that I ran into with him that I wasn't ready for is the Archon's 12-inch CP denial bubble. He really utilized that a lot. There was a couple times where he misplayed, where he moved the unit before the Archon. I was able to get a cheap Overwatch off, and that was one of the times where I did learn a weakness to my Wraith unit, which I'll go over at the end. All the pros and cons of that, but he picked up 1 of the Wraiths pretty easily in the midfield with Lilith and the Witches. But I just had too many shots for him to deal with. It did get close near the end, where we kind of had to make a couple decisive actions on what was going on. I was just, by the end, he just didn't have enough firepower to take him down. I was spiking my saves pretty well. I was given the lightning fast to the units I needed to, where I knew he was going to focus the most firepower. So I'd pick the units, I'd see how many could see each one, and I just knew which one he was going to go for. So I'd make sure I'd lightning fast the right one. Fortune from the Farseer helped a lot in the midfield to protect that 1 unit for a very long time. He never killed he killed 1 in the middle with Lilith, but the other 2 survived. I do believe at least 1 of them survived. There's the staying power of the Wraiths is a lot better than I thought I was going to be. I kind of expected them to kind of be okay, but the amount of staying power they have, that T11's nothing to joke at.
Exactly.
But it was the closest game I had all weekend. It was the one that worried me the most by about turn 2. I wasn't sure how I was going to go because he had a really good turn 1 as well. But I was able to pull it off, had enough shots. I was able to get a couple good secondaries where he didn't realize he opened up a pocket in the back, where I was able to drop my Hawks down and take out a second Scourge unit. And then the third Scourge unit lasted until like turn 5, where I finally overwatched it in the midfield when he was trying to go in and take out my character for Assassinate, which didn't get that one. So, but it was harder than I thought. I knew it was going to be a tough battle, but it really pushed me there.
And that's the games that we love, right? The ones that push you to make you a lot better.
Yeah.
So you're going to be a better player come next time that you play into Drukhari. So shout out to Drukhari players and Riley, of course. So this one, I believe, if I recollect correctly, you got 84 points.
Yes, 84 to 38, I think, or 84 to 39, something like that.
And obviously, you're not going to take out any of your Wraithlords out of your list. They were doing amazing for you, it seemed like, throughout the entire event. Super resilient with that toughness 11. And we're going to talk at the end, so everyone stay tuned to the special trick that Elfie used. But before we get into that, we're going to play one more commercial. So please hang tight. This is an old sponsor, someone who is well known to the entire world. Make sure to go check out their website as always to get what you need. All right, everyone. So give me 1 second. Give us 1 second, and we'll be right back in 1 minute. Got to pay the bills. Now with a word from our sponsor, Baron of Dice. Baron of Dice is your one-stop shop for premium wargaming dice. Our dice are made with premium resin materials and colored dyes. Each die is hand-mixed to the desired result and then carefully swirled with 2, 3, or 4 colors in a silicone mold before being laser engraved with a wicked symbol and finished in a matte or gloss polish. There are no imperfections in our dice, no balancing issues, no micro bubbles or mold lines. This is the difference between. You can, quite literally, feel and hear a difference with our dice. Whatever game you play, whatever style your team or faction rocks, we're sure to have something to elevate your game. With over 500 styles and over 4,000 customer reviews, welcome to the best dice on the planet. Now back to our show. All right, and we are back. So I'm going to drop a little secret of myself. Crucible, we bought into 3,000 dice from Baron of Dice. They came out looking gorgeous. All right. I'll show you next episode, or I'll show a picture online. For those of you who don't know, go to the description section. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Discord. Obviously, I'm on YouTube and Twitch as well. So I'll try to share pictures all over the place. They're also going to be on stream. Hopefully, we can get Baron of Dice in person there. But make sure to go check out their website. They have amazing dice. They have Aeldari dice. They have World Eaters dice for me, or Orcs dice for me, things like that. So yeah, go ahead and check them out. So back to the Elfy show with his Aeldari and his fantastic victory at the Intergalactic RTT. So first of all, congratulations to you. So you went 3-0 at this event.
Yeah.
Kudos. Much love. I know how hard you've been working. I know how much you played this game as well. And you tech into your list. We talk all the time, right? And chat where you're changing up your list and you're trying something new, and then you're asking me my thoughts and things like that. And my thoughts, you know, for the record, you probably already know this, are way less value to you, right? But I appreciate you including me into that, right? I know a little bit of something when it comes to Aeldari, specifically my babies, the Harlequins, right? So I definitely know about those. But yeah, congratulations to you, everyone. You know, give them a bravo, a thumbs up, leave him a comment down in the description section. Let him know that he did a fantastic job, and how he broke it down was amazing, right? So we're going to go into 2 more little questions, and then we're going to sayonara and adios to everyone. So acknowledgements, any shout outs or people you'd like to thank for their support or contributions to your recent success? Maybe you want to thank the craft world.
You know, lately I've been watching more of the Art of War videos, honestly, and Quentin did a really good breakdown of some of the units with the changes and stuff like that. And Quentin's always been there to kind of help me, you know, from when I've first started, you know, with TLM. You know, he was always one of the people that would give me advice and stuff. So, you know, I couldn't do a lot of what I did, you know, recently without the guidance from him in the beginning. You know, a bunch of other Eldar players in TLM, you know, Eric Clutch, he's always there. Jarrett, you know, from Leighton Games, he always has insight for me as well. So, you know, just a bunch of different people that really help me polish out some of the ideas I have for my list. A couple of cunning commanders, they do as well in their Discord. So, you know, all those people really deserve, you know, a lot of thanks as well. So,
shout out to them. Shout out to Quentin, Jarrett, Eric. Eric is always constantly winning painting contests. He has a beautiful army. If you ever come to Grand Onslaught, any of my GTs or any of my RTTs and Kissimmee Rubicons, right, that I do with Tim Wright, he always just about always wins the best paint in there. Does a fantastic job. Everyone else, shout out to them. Thank you for helping out Elfie. He's doing amazing. And I know the real brunt and the real brains behind this is Elfie himself. But shout out to everyone else as well. So yeah, no, thank you for showing some love to the community. Elfie has always done that. He's been a big community member that always shows love, and I love that. Thank you so much. So, last one where we're going to talk about our tips and insights and our secret to your Wraithlord. So, since this is an educational show, right, bring us a little bit of value to everyone who is listening from the Ops family, right? What is your secret? Break it down, and how can you improve the community of gaming Warhammer 40K?
So, with the Wraiths, I noticed that a lot of people are hesitant to add the Spirit Seers. They feel like it's a unnecessary tax, for your points. It is, a little bit more to put them in there. But I have found that outside the one little downside I found with Riley's game is that when you add the Spirit Seer, they do become infantry. So anti-infantry does hurt them a little bit. So outside that, I think adding the Spirit Seer is only a net positive. So the very first test game I did was against Riel, and hitting on fours all day long, and battle shocking the unit and everything just felt bad. So by adding the Spirit Seer, one, the Wraithlord doesn't have to battle shock because the unit is now 2 models. So until the Wraith is dead, and then you still battle shock because the Spirit Seer is probably back at full life. So you never have to battle shock the Wraithlord because there's 2 models in the unit. Even if they precision, it's not going to be easy to take out the Seer because the Seer joins the unit. Now the Seer has T11. So precision into the Spirit Seer, you have to go against T11 and then get through the invuln or their fate dice.
Yep.
So the Spirit Seer adds an extra OC, so now the unit's 4 OC on the point. It's not the best, but they're going to have to put a few models on the point to take it from you. The +1 to hit is great to counter people to have, stealth or -1 to hit. Death Guard's interesting. I played against them the other day, and the -1 to hit all day long was it would have been real miserable without the Spirit Seers. The lethal hits is really strong when you're going against high toughness. Other knights, there's a bunch of knights are going crazy right now, so having that lethal into knights is really strong, or just any other high toughness targets. Lethals with Bright Lance or your strike is really strong as well. And a couple other little tricks I found is that because the Spirit Seer, you can now Phantasm a Wraithlord because they are infantry. Because Phantasm is not monster on vehicle, it just says pick an infantry unit. So now you can Phantasm your Wraithlords as well. I just think with all,
it doesn't say model, it says infantry unit. It's awesome. Yep.
So little trick, you can Phantasm into range for heroic intervention, or you can Phantasm out of line of sight to avoid being shot, or onto a point, right, to try to take some extra VP, because maybe it's just off the point, Phantasm the Wraith on there, maybe now you take it from them, or you just score it and they're nowhere near it. There's a lot of different utilities you can do with that, and I just think it's something that's kind of overlooked because people are so worried about the points cost of the Spirit Seer. I also recommend that if you're going to take the Spirit Seers, make sure you put Weeping Stones on one of them. Farming 2 fate dice for every unit killed by a Wraith is ridiculously powerful. I played the other game the other day. I think I ended the game with like 15 or 18 fate dice total between gained and used throughout that game. Woo! And we only played 4 rounds, I think. So and the Farseer, the Fortunate Mid one, is just really powerful too. Just makes them difficult to deal with. The only downside you have is anti-monster, anti-infantry, and lethals is the biggest downside to them. But for me throwing with the Spirit Seer like a 210 point unit up there and forcing people to just deal with it, well, I still have almost 1,500 points flying around. It just doesn't seem like it's that big of a points tax, and it's something they're going to have to dedicate a lot of firepower into to move.
I love it. I love your insight, your tips and tricks. So you heard that here first on the Onslaught Gaming 40K platform, right? I'm super excited. I am feeling it. Like, I almost want to dust off my Harlequins and start playing them back again because of what you're talking about today, right? So hopefully we brought some great insight to the community. Thank you very much, Elfie. If you have anything else that you want to say before we kind of go out.
I just wanted to, really thank you. You've really kept the community alive in this area. I know that we've been having, some game stores, falling under hard times, and you never stop working for the community. So I just wanted to say, on behalf of me, and I'm sure many other people's in the area, just want to say thank you.
I love you. I love the entire community, right? I hear the nice words, I hear the bad words, but at the end of the day, I still do this for passion to you guys, right? I always do this for the community, no matter what it is. I'm always willing to go to bat for the community. So thank you for the kind words, as always. Shout out to the community, right? If you're not a part of this community here in specifically Tampa, Florida, like we're in between the southwestern, kind of central side of Florida here. So if you're ever around in the area, you're coming out for vacay, for those of you who listen from a different state, right? Come check us out. Me and Elfie are either always going to events together. I know we're going to a GT in a couple of weeks. So we always like to go out there to Central Florida. If not, I know he's always participating at the events that I run, either at Kissimmee or the Grand Onslaught GTs that we have. We actually have one that's coming up very soon. I want to say it's 10 minutes away from your house, which is in Hudson, Florida. Thank you very much, to Elfie and Mike, for the lookout on that one. It's a beautiful location. It's a Legion Hall as well, which hits me right in the heart, right? And a wonderful individual there. So we're going to have a wonderful time there. That's going to be on August 10th and 11th, right, of 2024. So make sure to check us out. Come see us. And come see Elfie playing, right, with his Eldar and destroying, hopefully going, a complete 5-0 throughout the event. And it's going to be a catch-out event as well, which really means that I'm just going to send you PayPal money or some kind of cash money of that effect, right? But it's going to be fantastic. There's going to be tons of prizes, tons of people there, fantastic terrain for Morty 5, and hopefully a little bit more new things to bring to everyone else. And as always, if you haven't already done so, make sure to share, subscribe, big thumbs up, leave us a comment, leave Elfie a comment. If he doesn't see it because I get the emails pinged for it, I'll make sure to send it to him, leave him some kind words and what he has brought today for the community. So thank you so much. Love everyone. Bye-bye.